Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the Millennial Mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And remember that we're now on TV. Tune in and catch a moment of Zen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are now available on demand. We have such a great show lined up for you today. In our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by Revere Securities, we are featuring Candice Carter. She's an American fitness model and one of the greatest figure competitors in history. That's right, she's a bodybuilder. She's 13 pro victories and 4-time Arnold Classic Champion. But when you're a bodybuilding champion and in the prime of your career, deciding to become a mother isn't always the easiest thing. Today, she's here to chat motherhood, fitness, and career. In our Innovation and Tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames and OGPay.com, we have returning contributor Paul Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today we're chatting with Dorothy Anderson. She's Managing Director of Hospitality Solutions at ORGANO. Now, Travala.com is an ORGANO subsidiary and is a member-only platform, but is the source for fantastic travel with fantastic deals. I am a member, and I absolutely love them. Today, we're chatting about the revenge travel economy and how the phrase refers to consumers' increased willingness to cough up cash after almost 30 long months of restrictions. And in travel's case, that means a demand for vacations that are more frequent, more indulgent, and more than anything, far from home, guys. In My Digital World, brought to you by Tempest Network, we have the pleasure of chatting with Benjamin Charbit, CEO of Darewise, and Darewise is part of the Animoca Brands family. And today we're chatting about the future of gaming and its relation to Web 3.0, player-owned economies, and digital societies, and what is play and earn versus free to play. In our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital, welcoming back to the segment is our regular contributor, CEO of CCP Digital, Chris Pulley, and he's joined by Travis Wright, Sir Lord Travis Wright, that is, co-host of the Bad Crypto Podcast and the Nifty Show, both podcasts that explain the latest trends and innovations in Web3. Today, we're chatting all about NFTs and the main things that you need to know about them. We'll also chat about the future of NFTs in commerce, in identity, and authentication. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with our Millennial Mom segment, 4-time Arnold champion, bodybuilder, and mom, Candice Carter. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up in just a few minutes, we have our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by Revere Securities. And today, we're featuring Candice Carter, an American fitness model and one of the greatest figure competitors in history. Now, under her long list of achievements, Candice boasts over 13 pro victories and is the 4-time Arnold Classic Champion. Her journey into fitness all started at the age of 11. It was around this point Candice first joined the gym, unknowingly set out on her journey to greatness. Her passion for weightlifting was soon ignited, leading her to jump right into the competitive circuit, where she ultimately won her pro status in 2011. And ever since then, Candice hasn't looked back. She's gone on to inspire an army of people with her long list of achievements. But when you're a bodybuilder champion in the prime of your career, deciding to become a mother isn't always easy. Many female competitors often put off having children because getting pregnant means a whole lot of letting go. It means being okay with potentially gaining weight, losing gains, among other bodily changes, and maybe losing sponsors. But Candace has always been a family oriented kind of gal. She attributes some of that to her childhood growing up in Chandler, Arizona. Now, as the second oldest of 10 siblings, she loved being somebody that her younger brothers and sisters looked up to. And here to chat fitness, motherhood, and career is the beautiful Candice Carter. Welcome to the show, Stunner.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I never heard an intro like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm pretty cool. Thank you.
You are pretty cool. And congrats on motherhood.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow. It's been over a year, 14 months. So it's amazing. Beautiful journey. Oh my goodness. So much has happened.
Yeah, you joined the club. Now the mom club is, you're in it for life. So talk to me about this, because you were diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, which is a hormonal disorder that really affects a lot of women, roughly 5 to 6 million women across the United States. And it really occurs when the body produces too much of a hormone, right? So women with PCOS often experience irregular periods, weight gain, fatigue, excess hair growth, acne, infertility. Now, infertility, talk to me about how you approached conceiving, knowing you had PCOS, and how was your overall pregnancy mood?
So going into it, I was diagnosed way before we were trying to have kids. So I knew this journey of infertility and, the struggles would be there. And so knowing that, I think I was a lucky one to know this diagnosis before starting, because a lot of women go undiagnosed. Almost about 70% of women go undiagnosed because the symptoms, can vary to person. So being diagnosed when we're getting ready to start, it was so hard. We tried for about 3 years. I wasn't ovulating. Finding the right doctor is also difficult with PCOS because up until this beginning of this year, it wasn't considered a disease. So when you're in medical school, you're not studying it. The doctors don't know exactly what's happening with the woman's body. But now I went to Congress the past 2 years talking about the disease and saying, hey, this needs to be studied. You guys need to study this. Women, have this. It's one of the leading causes of infertility. So thankful this year with PCOS Challenge, we were able to get it marked as a disease. So now that women go into the doctor, they're being asked questions, that sort of thing. So it should get better with being diagnosed. So it was very difficult taking infertility meds that failed, because your body is just fighting these hormones that you're trying to constantly battle. So it was difficult for us to get pregnant.
But you did. You ultimately got pregnant and you gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, Brew. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so amazing. He's our miracle child. We were 5 rounds in for fertility medications and we got pregnant naturally. So
wow.
Oh my God. Yeah, we were just 2 weeks away from trying another, trying IVF. So, we got pregnant and we're just like, wow, it can definitely happen naturally, but it's definitely difficult.
Now, how has being a mom really changed your perspective on your career and how do you balance it all out?
It changed my entire world. I'm used to, we got to go here. We got to fly here. We're going out of the country, especially being sponsored. You got to be ready when they call and be, physically fit and ready to go. So now being a mom is like, no, I can't. I need to know 2 months in advance. Like, I'm not ready to leave my son yet by myself for a weekend. So I had to turn a lot of jobs down, but I am learning to give myself grace and say, it's just a period of time, when
it is a period of time.
3 or 4 or 5, I can continue those things. So it was hard to deal with a little bit. Annette, actually, my agent, helped me out. I was having a meltdown because I had to learn to say no. And she kind of helped me through that process as well. And it's like, you need time to go through that postpartum depression.
Of course. I took off after I did finally give birth. I really took Alexa everywhere with me. I still to this day talk about mommy shaming Candace. She still sleeps with me. She's 6.5 years old, right? So everybody has a different process. I've never spent one night away from her, but she travels everywhere with me and I pull her out accordingly. If I have to leave for a weekend, if I have to leave for a month, like I just went to Greece to film a movie with Jamie Foxx and Robert De Niro called Tin Soldier, she came. But this is about you, not me. So talk to me about what your rules for a great workout are, because all us moms are dying to look exactly like you.
Well, I kind of want to touch on that. Thank you for actually saying that, because I struggle with, can I leave him? Is that okay? Because I don't want to leave him. But
you don't have to. Don't.
Thank you for that. So, yeah, I know you said it's about me, but thank you for sharing that, because now it's changing my mind how, I don't need to leave him, because people are like, you can leave him. It's okay. But I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, what was that question?
Oh, I know, we diverted. I said, what are your rules for a great workout?
My rules for a great workout is sweat, so just do what you can to break that sweat, get your heart rate up. I definitely believe in wearing like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit to track your heart rate, so you'll know, okay, am I working out to my full potential? Really study those heart rate zones. Just to sweat, just to move the body. When I was pregnant, I was scared to death to work out, and which sounds weird because, this is what I do for a living. I've been working out since, I was 12 running track and in college. So I was scared because I didn't want to lose a child. So I just stuck to walking my entire pregnancy. Even when I was cleared to work out, I was like, no, I just don't want. So just, start wherever you at in your journey.
Just keep moving. Yeah. All right. Let's chat nutrition. And what variety of foods do you incorporate into your diet for optimal health? But also now you're a mom, so you have a different perspective. Talk to me.
Yes, with having PCOS, meal planning it's a must, because we're carb resistant. So your body doesn't process carbs like someone normally would. So that is what most of PCOS patients have difficult with, blood pressure, diabetes. Like I was almost diagnosed diabetes while I was like the fittest, I've ever been in my entire life. When in the Arnold, they're like, hey, you're pre-diabetic, which would be weird, but we're disposed at a higher rate. So I definitely have to count my carbs, making sure I'm eating complex carbs, something that like sweet potato or oatmeal that will not spike the insulin and turn into sugar and all these good things. So I would say for me personally, making sure the carbs are under control. But for anyone else, making sure you have a good, healthy fats, especially as a woman, that salmon, avocado, that's going to do your body so much.
Nice. Good. Yeah, I love that. I practice what you preach pretty much. We have about a minute and a half left. I wanted to get your take on supplements. Do you use them? And if so, what do you recommend?
Yes, I definitely, multivitamin, I think it's a must. We don't maybe get enough from our food. And definitely a nice, just basic protein powder. Definitely look on the ingredients, making sure it's like maybe a pea protein, like a plant-based protein. And that's going to help to just tone the body if you're not, if your lifestyle is like a vegan lifestyle. But a basic protein is good to supplement to start with.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, we're out of time, and I just want to say thank you for coming on. You've definitely enlightened us. I'm so happy that you finally joined the Motherhood Club, and God bless you and Brew. You are just a bright light.
Thank you so much. And whenever we can do this again, I just love sharing the knowledge, especially with highlighting PCOS. So thank you so much. And I'm excited to be a part of the mom group. I have a good army of people. Like, you're into this amazing group I didn't know about.
Yes.
We all cheer each other on. So thank you.
Totally will support one another, and you could come on anytime you want. Thank you so much. Guys, you have to check out Candice Carter. She is amazing. Check her out on the gram, iCandyFitBeauty, or definitely head to her website, motherofmacros.com, where you can get a lot of really cool tips. That was our Millennial Mom segment brought to us by Revere Securities. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR. The Voice of New York. Will be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames and ogpay.com, we have returning contributor Paul Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Soames, and today we're chatting with Dorothy Anderson, Managing Director of Hospitality Solutions at ORGANO. Have you heard of them? Well, Travala is an ORGANO subsidiary and the source for fantastic travel with fantastic deals. They are a member-only platform, and they're going to provide you with access to the industry's wildest and most diverse array of leisure, lifestyle, and travel benefits, from luxury resort condos to specifically negotiated pricing on cruise, tour, and mini vacations to the very best prices on over 1,000 hotels worldwide. They've literally got it all, but it's just for their members. And this could come in handy right about now. Think of them as your community-driven hospitality technology company. Are you going on vacation this summer? Well, everybody seems to be. Welcome to the revenge travel economy. And as summer travel season heats up, it's becoming harder and harder for airlines to keep up with demand, because no phenomenon can be real until it can be hashtagged. And as we've seen it all come together, the travel industry has been quickly picking up. And now the brand impulse to driving tourists this summer is hashtag revenge travel. Like revenge spending, the phrase refers to consumers' increased willingness to cough up cash after almost 30 long months of restrictions. And in travel's case, that means a demand for vacations that are more frequent, more indulgent, and more than anything, far from home. That demand got a boost on June 13th of this year when the US stopped requiring a negative COVID-19 test for entry. But as it rises to and even surpasses its pre-pandemic levels, a host of challenge, from inflations to war to, yes, the lingering threat of COVID-19 coming back, cast a shadow on the rosy predictions of a roundabout. Will this summer be the one that really defines it all? Well, the truth is that tourism is rebounding very, very quickly. And according to the president of the European Travel Commission, which represents the continent's national tourism organizations, he says we are headed one direction, and it's up. Here to chat revenge are Paul and Dorothy. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, Dorothy. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Welcome back, Paul. All right, Dorothy, at this juncture, revenge travel looks to be off to a good start. Among Europeans, 70% are planning vacation trips between now and November. And the numbers are almost as strong among Americans, with 65% planning leisure trips within the next 6 months. Now, we have very strong statistics from MasterCard. Bookings on short and medium haul flights have surpassed pre-pandemic levels. And travel searches, Dorothy, for the first quarter of 2022 were above their 2019 levels, according to Google. And an interesting thing that really caught my attention was passport appointments jumped 300% in the first 3 months of this year. What do you say to these statistics, and how are you guys getting ready to meet these high demands?
Well, the numbers don't lie, as we say. And certainly, I think I myself may have contributed to those numbers. I have been searching. And it is revenge travel. Yeah, COVID fatigue has set in, and we now want to go out, explore places. We find that individuals are also interested in wanting to learn about different cultures. So you find that travel is now outside of just North America. I mean, here in Jamaica, we have so many North American tourists who are traveling, be it by air or by sea. And what I can say then is that I see the numbers increasing, let us say month over month. It's not going to stop for now. And at Travala, we are getting ready for this. We are prepared for it. And we are even further improving on the services that we have to offer our members.
And pent up demand is already delivering rapid growth. It's really driven by excess savings accumulated during the period when people couldn't spend or travel as usual. So definitely, this is going to really kind of be a defining moment in travel history. Paul, those extra savings that we're talking about are affecting not only the amount of travel people are undertaking, but the kind of travel as well. So after decades of appealing to budget travelers with low cost flights and party buses, many European destinations are emerging from the pandemic with a new emphasis on upscale travel. And a lot of enterprises, big and small, have spent the past 2 years really renovating their facilities, upgrading, investing in the hospitality industry, and really adapting to the new needs of the customer. How important do you think fintech is to the travel industry, and are there any apps out there to help mitigate high currency conversion fees while one is abroad?
Yeah, great questions. And I think that, first of all, Dorothy and her team, just I have to put a note on this. Their company is in our portfolio. We invested in them back in 2018. Great team, great people, doing great things with technology. Dorothy's team with the hospitality brands are doing fantastic things. And what I really think they do the best is they were smart. They're good business people. They took that same lull that you're talking about, people, pent up revenge travel, and they have extra money now because they didn't spend it then, so they spend it now. What ORGANO did with their brands, with their getaway portal and their Forever Weeks, is they took that technology, and since the travel industry, traveling itself was not happening, they took that time, that 18 months, 2 years, and they rebuilt, they upgraded, they made more advances into blockchain and using and integrating fintech-based solutions into their platforms, so that now things that like inventory, curating travel, and inventory aggregation on blockchain, and things that were previously reserved, like timeshare, the ORGANO Travala, the Forever Weeks platform they have. It is absolutely giving access to people to experiences, longer term stays, like a week at a time, to people that were previously reserved just for the timeshare players. And then you have also their getaway portal, giving discounts and access to curating travel. And then tying in the fintech solutions, as you mentioned, without people being able to book and then spend going forward with the OG Pay platform that's integrated there, without having to deal with FX, foreign exchange fees, or foreign currency conversion fees when they travel, and being able to use a card in that country's currency, euro or rand or whatever it might be. So I think it's just a full circle approach to things, but I think they do a nice job of addressing today's current market conditions.
I love it. And it's all on one platform. So that's even better, because it's the same ecosystem that you learn to love and trust and go to for all your vacation needs with a great fintech app. Dorothy, we're seeing a lot of more multi-destination trips and a lot more multi-generational ones. People are traveling to celebrate milestones, and they want to bring their grandparents, so to speak. And after all that time that we've been saying, stuck at home with nothing to do except stream Netflix, travelers are really eager to, for the experience. I prefer to call it liberation travel rather than revenge travel. But there's an increase in people wanting to stay in independent hotels, and they're looking for more authentic experiences as well. Why do you feel this is the case, and how are you catering to this at Travala?
Okay, great. That's a good question, Zen. And I think that what is happening, as you rightly say, you have this multi-generational travels taking place. I think a part of it had to do with being cooped up at home for quite a while with your relatives. The bond is even stronger now, and you find that the Gen Z, they love their grandparents. They want to be seen out with them. It has to do with also the social changes that are taking place in society, and we are definitely going to be be taking advantage of that. We are going to be capitalizing on that. Another thing too is the desire to learn about different cultures, and so you find that travelers now Not saying that the all-inclusive is no longer appealing. There's still a market for that, but you find that travelers now want to stay with independent properties and explore and have an experience. Hashtag experience.
Yes,
That's
of
what I
course.
think is happening. Yeah.
It's all about hashtags. Paul, let's talk a little bit about inflation and staff shortages, right? Because inflation and staff shortages is the twin-headed monster threatening the travel recovery this summer. There are clear signs inflation is definitely starting to bite. We're beginning to see travel intentions start to erode slightly, particularly among travelers making less than $100,000 a year. Do you see all of tourism's summer gains wither away by the end of this quarter? And if so, perhaps, can this open up a parallel market for blockchain to provision that global inventory of suppliers like hotels and excursion companies and airlines and even Airbnbs to really mitigate the shortfalls? What do you say to this?
I think if start with the end in mind, I think blockchain's already there with companies that are both innovative, upwardly disruptive, and then like Dorothy and her group, use that upward disruption for the purpose of transforming how people think about how they interact with travel and travel experiences. It's already there. It allows interesting curation. It allows for a company like the travel experience with Forever Weeks and so forth. It allows them to tie into direct contracts with suppliers. You mentioned 1,000 hotels. That's 1,000 hotel groups, not 1,000. 1,000. It's a million hotels around the world, right, in their platform. And so, very interesting how that can really create degrees of efficiency in their own sort of, as you sort of were alluding to, its own sort of little interesting, unique economy. That's a travel-oriented economy. To your other question about and your mention of inflation and the impact on the industry overall, I was recently in Istanbul, in Turkey, and I noticed, I talked to everyone. So I was talking to the lady cleaning my suite, and I was just having a conversation with her. She spoke English, and she was telling me one thing that I found very interesting. She says, it's so tough, the economy, because Turkey's hyperinflated, right? Has been for quite a while. The problem, she said, is that, I have a job, but the staff here, everybody stays employed. There's still like 100% employment. The problem is they went from 40 hours a week. She only works 1 day a week. So she's still employed, but the same amount of people working many, many less hours. Yeah. I went to Johannesburg, South Africa, in a hotel there. Nice hotel, no problem. Same thing. Same staff, just working dramatically reduced hours. So I don't know that that's going to be the way it's dealt with in other economies, other countries, and so forth. But there are ways that the travel industry tends to adapt and adjust. If you go through the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys over the decades, you'll find that when it's down, but it's never down forever. It always comes back because people love to travel, as you've mentioned and Dorothy said. Look, people want to have these experiences. They want to get away.
Yes, they do. And with that notion, we are out of time. And I wanted to thank the both of you for coming on. Paul, always a pleasure chatting with you. Dorothy, thank you so much for piping in here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Paul, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Zen.
All right, guys, that was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames and ogpay.com. That was Dorothy Anderson, Managing Director of Hospitality Solutions at ORGANO. You guys have to head to Travala.com and check out the amazing offers they have. It's a members-only website that I am part of. It's a great platform. You have to check out the exclusivity and all the great perks. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams, welcoming back to our innovation and tech segment brought to us by Caldwell Soames. We have our returning contributor, Paul Caldwell, CEO and chairman of Caldwell Soames. Welcome back, my friend.
Hi, Zen.
All right. Now let's keep talking about revenge travel here. So interesting stat, while only 7% of travelers had really expressed concern about inflation and costs affecting their vacations back in 2021, it's slightly up now, Paul, 13%. And when you look at staffing shortages are cutting into services across Europe. Many hotels have responded by automating some aspects like check-in and trimming once routine benefits like daily room cleaning. But perhaps nowhere is the impact of the shortage of travelers clearer than in the scenes and chaos emerging from airports across Europe and the United States. Flight cancellations, long waits for baggage that frequently fails to appear altogether, excruciating lines through security. It's become almost a headache to travel. But most industry insiders are feeling optimistic about the months ahead of them despite this chaos. And even more than revenge, that may be due to another pandemic generated emotion, Paul, resilience. So you hear things like, oh, people are valuing experiences over Rolexes. And I think that it's the reality right now. People are putting their money into experiences. What do you say to this? And how at Travala are they catering to this?
Well, I'm quite bullish on travel long term. So I'd be long travel. I mean, because the travel industry always responds. But it's a slow to pivot situation because it's a demand driven business, completely demand driven. And so while the suppliers are there, the hotels are still there, the airlines are still there, the cruise ships are still available. I mean, these things are there, but if the demand's not there, like anything else, it really doesn't matter. But the travel industry is more demand driven than many others, where you can create your own sort of economies. It's really demand driven. So you see a lot of technology innovation going on in the travel space right now. You see a lot of new business model innovation going on in the travel business. You now see companies like Singapore Airlines cross-selling Malaysia Air, not just making it available on their website as an alternative or something, but actually cross-selling other airlines on their own sites because it gets people tied into their website, tied into their network, to their booking engine, right? And because it's tied into their booking engine, then they get access to that metadata. Well, not the personal identifiable information necessarily, but the metadata that would otherwise have just lived on a competitor's website or a booking engine website, an independent booking engine website. So I like the companies like what they're doing at ORGANO with their Travala platform and their Getaway portal and their Forever Weeks, because they've used technology to be able to curate experiences that give people access to the discounts, for example, or the types of stays that were previously reserved only to people that paid for a $30,000-$40,000 timeshare. You don't have to do that you don't have to do that anymore. Going in and curating, like you said, high-end experiences as well, right? I mean, going in and being able to curate a high-end experience for you and your friends to go stay on Lake Como in a beautiful home at maybe $20,000 a week. But what if it's 25 bedrooms in that place? I mean, geez, is it worth $1,000 a week to have that experience with all your friends and family?
Right.
I mean, I think that's really the driver. And the second thing is, we're talking about right now, people want to get away and have fun and all that. Business travel, the impact of all of the economy right now on business travel, it is substantial. And things like Zoom, streaming platforms, Microsoft Teams, these wonderful, let's get together on our computer and our phone and all that right now. We don't have to fly to get there. Historically, Cisco created its entire telepresence solution, and HP had a telepresence solution so that businessmen, ladies, women, business people could just talk to each other. Now, Not so much. I mean, right now, those companies are saying, wait a minute, we don't have to travel to have this. We can have an entire event streamed online.
Yeah.
Now, look at what this thing called metaverse.
Yeah.
You know, it almost gives me a headache every time somebody says metaverse. But the reality is when you can put 10,000 people in an environment, an immersive environment that doesn't require VR, it doesn't require an Oculus, but it's an immersive environment nonetheless. And I could stream that up on my big screen TV here in my office, and I can be part of that without having to get on a plane and go there and do all of that and really have a great experience. That's a game changer.
Game changer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, it's always a pleasure having you. I love chatting with you because I just get lost in my thoughts and start to ideate about more things to even talk about. So we could keep going on forever. But I thank you for coming on and more importantly, enlightening us with so much knowledge that you're filled with.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy it as well. Thank you, Zen.
Absolutely. Guys, check out Paul Caldwell. He trends on Twitter at Paul Caldwell. Make sure you check out ogpay.com, an amazing fintech solution for absolutely all of your needs, really from travel to your groceries to everything. I'm a huge fan. One of my favorite finds of the year. Now, after everything everyone's been through, there's not a ton of fear about the unknown anymore. At least that's my opinion. People know that if they're scheduled to go to London in October and for some reason London locks down or something, whatever, they know that we'll figure it out. And what you're seeing is renewed right now really is this sort of inherent mindset of flexibility, guys. Flexibility. And that is key to everything. I think the pandemic has taught us all to be a tad more flexible and tolerant. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to us by ogpay.com. That was Paul Caldwell. Make sure you check him out. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this. Definitely head to Travala.com for all your travel needs.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempus, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempus, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempus, the time is now. Engage and earn.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. Welcome back to My Digital World, brought to us by Tempus Network. Today, we have the pleasure of chatting with Benjamin Charbit, CEO of Darewise. Now, Darewise is part of the Animoca Brands family, the mother company of some of the greatest success stories in gaming Web3 area. They have Phantom Galaxies, Axie Infinity, or even the Sandbox, among others, and to name a few. Now, massively multiplayer online role-playing games, otherwise known as MMORPG, are all the craze. And Darewise's Life Beyond will empower players both on an individual level via their own play choices, as well as collectively by making critical decisions on the future direction of the actual game. Now, the society of Life Beyond will evolve according to the choices, user-generated creations, and behaviors of its players. Today, we're chatting about the future of gaming and its relation with Web3, player-owned economies and digital societies, and what is play and earn versus free to play. Now, Web3 developers' pitch to gamers sounds simple enough. Let us put your favorite games on the blockchain, and soon you'll be able to own and even profit from the in-game items, currencies, and characters that you spend so much time and sometimes cold hard cash acquiring. Ownership is a key concept for the crypto industry in general. And among blockchain game developers, it's the closest thing to an industry philosophy. Now, many argue that through NFTs, every in-game item has the potential to be an asset, and every asset, of course, has the potential to be bought, sold, or even used as collateral. But owning something is only worth it if there's a secondary market for it. And the latest generation of blockchain games are focused on the concept of composability. Now, this is a technical term for the ability to translate value between different games. Traditionally, gamers are built in these walled garden environments. Say you played Zelda and you earned gold, and you used that gold to buy potions and power ups and weapons. But all those items and money were stuck inside that game. Now, the goal then for blockchain developers is to break open the walled garden of traditional games and create an interconnected marketplace where the time and money players spend in one game is still worth something in the next game that they play. But what happens when a bunch of in-game economies, which on their own have dealt with rampant financial instability, fraud, and cybersecurity issues, become tethered? Well, here to chat some more and help me make sense of it all is the awesome Benjamin Charbit. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Very, very excited to have you on. So the first title is the first play and earn MMO, massively multiplayer online, powered by Web3. Ben, you are the CEO of Darewise Entertainment and executive producer of Life Beyond. And Life Beyond will be free to play, right? F2P, and will have a low barrier of entry, so no need to purchase or even own an NFT to play. But after all of Animoca's success with play to earn, why did you decide to switch up the traditional model?
Listen, I think play to earn was a very interesting experience to pave the way to a more broader type of economical behavior or social behavior that we'll see in games. It proved the way. It proved that it is possible to earn a disposable income by playing a game. And this really comes down to what is the definition of a game? Is it really just for fun, or is it going further? When you're an esport player, when you're a hardcore guild master, are you really doing it for fun, or are you getting into something bigger? And so play to earn was the kind of a form of ultimate achievement there, where so if it's beyond fun, then you can earn a revenue. It was a very interesting experience, I think, and really showed something, but also introduced a much bigger, a much broader type of experience that we will see in the future, where some will come for this, some will come for fun and just to play and to get entertained, some will come to lead communities, some will come to meet with friends and have a social experience. And I think this is what is really exciting. It's this, what is ahead is a breadth of different type of motivations that are going to drive this audience into these new, what I like to call destinations.
Absolutely. And I completely agree, because it's really just about community and breeding that community. But is the monetization model different in Life Beyond versus in your traditional models?
Yeah, absolutely. So the what I love about this idea of free to play, to be a little bit sarcastic, was that it was free to play, but the truth was that we were developing very extractive models, where we would be constantly trying to or collect revenues from a very small group of people, and to a point where, to be honest, sometimes we started to feel a little bit uncomfortable with the means that we were using, because over and over again you have to make your business sustainable, you have to expand how much you're earning from that small group of people. With NFTs, so Life Beyond it's a free to play with NFT. So there's no microtransaction where you just buy a very small pack of coins, or it's absolutely free to play, and the content that you own in the game is an NFT. Some that you will have, that you can purchase, but in any case, whatever you build, craft, earn, collect in the game is yours. And then it's completely up to you to do whatever you want with it. You can also sell it, you can rent it, and that can also turn this into an additional revenue stream for us.
Absolutely. And it all comes down to ownership. And that's really what the blockchain technology is really based upon. And when you look at a game like, for instance, Cradle's Origin of Species, one of the most innovative AAA blockchain MMORPG, considers blockchain technology to be the pillar on which the metaverse will eventually stand, and therefore can be used in the development of the metaverse. And blockchain comes right into the picture as a safer and more reasonable pillar on which such an environment could stand. Can you elaborate on what the importance of this security means to GameFi?
So, I mean, I think the technology really rewards network effect, which is really what we've been missing. So, I'm an MMO native, and we all are at Darewise. We've been playing these games for a long time, to a point where we started to experience something bigger and more meaningful. But there was always a form of a wake up call, which was like, hey, it's just a game, it's just a game, because the stakes are not really real. It was you were spending all this time, and so, but definitely as a member of these communities, we were contributing to the value creation. So we were participating to this network effect, and so the fact that now we have the opportunity through NFTs and tokenized economies to really much better redistribute, reallocate the value creation is completely game changing, because now whatever time and skill you put in this experience, you can turn into, or you can recoup part of it. Maybe not of it, maybe not all of it, and maybe it's not why you're coming here. But knowing that you have this opportunity, to me, is game changer. And I think this is what all of these experiences that you're mentioning are kind of trying to deliver right now, and I'm very happy about that.
Absolutely, because the main rationale for building metaverse on the blockchain foundation is hidden behind the fact that centralized services are vulnerable in terms of cybercrime and dependence on individual decisions in relation to creating a complex and dynamic virtual environment. So obviously this parlays very nicely, and it's really the perfect fit. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for just a little bit. All right. So early blockchain games such as Hunter Coin and CryptoKitties, which came out back in 2014 and 2017 respectively, were basically vehicles for mining cryptocurrencies. And the current crop of games, right, such as even Axie Infinity, hasn't really helped change that reputation, because if you remove the crypto component from Axie Infinity, you lose half the players. For many people who grew up playing really cool high graphics games, Axie doesn't really cut it. What do you say to that?
You're right. So it's an easy thing to, but listen, there are a couple of things to say here, obviously. The first one is, that's true that it could look originally as a gamified DeFi, and so it's like using all the recipes of DeFi, or all the tools and the mechanisms of DeFi, but dressed up in a more playful and fun way. But does this really matter? To me, what matters is that in a country like the Philippines, where people don't own a bank account, a much bigger portion of the population starting creating a wallet and participating to this thing. The second thing is the size of the community, how this community could start getting engaged. Our community manager, one of our community managers, is from the Philippines, and he's working with us on Live Beyond, and he's kind of an OG from that scene. And it's amazing to see how something like that completely bloomed. And the third thing is that it taught a lesson to the old dinosaurs from the game industry that I'm usually a proud member of, but started to get a little bit frustrated from time to time, because we were being so dismissive, on all of this. He taught that maybe the audience in terms of usage is not outstanding compared to the most popular AAA or free-to-play traditional games, but in terms of revenue, it became one of the largest big business, right?
Yeah.
So there was a really great lesson here for all the OGs of the traditional world trying to create these games with millions of players, just burning money in marketing, trying to acquire, because we would then lose these people, and so we had to acquire so many. Like in a time where we're trying to be more mindful of the resources we consume, it's very interesting that it's basically teaching a different model. So of course there are flaws, and the guys at Sky Mavis are extremely humble and realistic, and I think they acknowledge the situation, and they're working hard to fix it, and I believe they will succeed.
Well said. Well said. Well, we do have 1.7 billion people in this world that are unbanked and or underbanked, but they all have smartphones and they could all trade cryptocurrencies. So
Right.
it is definitely solving real world issues, paving the way out of poverty, and definitely kind of the rise to the creator economy, really power to the people. We've run out of time, but I wanted to say thank you for joining me, Benjamin. It was a pleasure chatting with you. I wish you all the luck in the world at Darewise. You guys are on your way up.
Thank you. Speak soon.
Absolutely. Guys, and that was My Digital World, brought to us by Tempest Network. And that was CEO of Darewise, Benjamin Charbit. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Tempest, the next generation of the engagement economy, allowing people to make money on their data and earn cryptocurrency for the time they spend on things they already currently love to do. With Tempest, brands will have the ability to pay you directly for interacting with apps, watching videos, playing games, and more. Tempest, the time is now. Engage and earn.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to My Digital World, sponsored by Tempest Network. We are featuring CEO of Darewise, Benjamin Charbit, and we are talking about the future of blockchain gaming, the metaverse, and what it all means for the end user. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hello, Zen. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm great. Thank you so much for coming back. All right, let's dive right into this. Benjamin, how do you ensure that the games are bringing economic value to players without relying on these Ponzi scheme-like economics? Because if the only reason for putting a game on the blockchain is to jack up the price of an in-game token or currency, won't investors start looking elsewhere? What do you say to that notion? Not particularly you at Darewise, but I'm talking about the industry in general.
It's a difficult question to answer in one single way, because if you go what is very interesting with blockchain gaming is there you have a wide spectrum of stakeholders to satisfy. Players first, they're not your main concern is about entertaining them, and making sure that they have a fun experience, making sure that they also have a very fulfilling social experience. And so in this, the point is, of course, to make sure that there is no economical flaws in your design that that basically kill the fun. For instance, the rich getting richer. If you create a design that works this way, even though it starts to look good on paper at some point, it just kills the fun, and eventually it destroys your economy. Now, because it's blockchain gaming, and that we can't really remove the opportunity to earn a revenue, because it is one of the motivation. It should not become the most important one or the main one, but it should be one of them, and it should not be dismissed. And it's an important one. Then it means that you also need a little bit of investors. Why do you need investors? Because investors, exactly like in the physical world, investors bring liquidity.
Yeah.
And then the stock market, because you have speculators, your assets are liquid. Because your assets are liquid, it's easier to invest, it's easier to divest, and then the whole system is working, and you can fund innovation through this. I mean, we can go on and on. Why this really helped. So as a developer, it means you need to try to cater to all of these different groups of people.
And it's interesting. Well, it's interesting because at that intersection, at that juncture, catering to this group of people, when you're talking about now bringing these blockchain games right into the metaverse, blockchain and metaverse are not isolated concepts that can be developed separately, really. I mean, they encompass a number of functions and properties that complement one another. And therefore, when used together, they can reach their full potential. And, in other words, a merger can make both concepts fully prosper. And the future of gaming lies in the metaverse built on blockchain technology, along with an NFT-based economy, like exactly that you're describing. Talk to me more about that notion, because I want to hear more about that.
So I think it goes back to this idea that the metaverse, if I take it, forgive me, but I will always take it from a game developer standpoint.
Absolutely.
This is my DNA. So MMORPGs were fantastic experiences, but eventually, and what was really fantastic was this first flavor of what it feels like to be a citizen in a digital society. And I keep talking about this over and over again now because I'm obsessed with this. We were there, we felt that we were part of something that was bigger and more meaningful. But because it was in a closed ecosystem, because you're talking about blockchain and metaverse, there was always this kind of wake up call that I was talking about earlier, which is, hey, it's just a game. Nothing that you build here, or it's more people would tell you that, but you would not feel this way. So where does it take you? Where did it specifically me? Where did it take me was to think that these worlds could become more than just a place for fun. They could become a new destination where it could add a new layer to my life. So there would be my physical life, and I would start experiencing an additional layer in my life that would be digital. This layer could be a representation of myself, but it could be another existence, completely different. And MMORPGs are great for this because we're talking about escapism and about being someone else in a different world.
It's amazing. The whole concept is amazing.
Right. If I could elaborate a little bit here, I always dreamt of having multiple lives. It's kind of frustrating that you can only have one, and especially when we know how much your life is kind of dictated by where you were born, your social background, the environment you're being raised, and so for instance, I grew up in Paris in a rather privileged environment. I would never have thought being a farmer, even though there are 4 million people who buy farming simulator every single year. 4 million people who dream of playing a farm. So when you start combining all of these pieces together to be a bit more, to go more straight to the point, you start seeing a new type of life being possible, where you have a presence in these multiple layers, and where you can start really experiencing a different form of value that is not just entertainment, but that goes beyond. That can be social, that can be economical.
Yeah, and that beyond, when we go back into before I ask you the question, right? When you say beyond, that metaverse, that engaged community where now you could really be anything you want, right? Outside of your real self. But before asking what could come of the metaverse and blockchain merger, so to speak, I feel we should be asking how blockchain could reach its full potential to aid the metaverse when the time is right. And the secret ingredient of the blockchain recipe has always been the development of its community. So when you're talking about communities, it's really interesting because at Darewise, obviously, there's a need and an importance to build these online communities. Talk to me a little bit about that, and then we're out of time.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're not Web3 natives. We started as a traditional, game as a service company, when we were building Life Beyond, we were more trying to build like a free-to-play MMO with this new generation of MMORPG. But we had a few things that naturally led us to Web3. The first was true ownership of your content, and that we were even supporting real money transaction between players. The second thing was open development. Open development meant that it's like these restaurants where you go and the kitchen is open and you can see whatever is happening.
Yeah.
I personally love that.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
that was exactly the idea. Coming from, I was one of the game directors of Assassin's Creed, which is a massive production, massive development, 1,000 people, 5 years of development, like crazy budget, and we would hold everything close to our chest and only reveal very late. Open development is the exact opposite. Open development is about involving your players, your community in the process, asking for their opinion, asking for feedback, showing them things that are unfinished at different stages of the life cycle of a feature. And so that's why naturally it led us to Web3, because it was really in our DNA to build close to the community. And what is really important here is that it's not about doing Twitter Space and AMA. It's not about speaking to your community. It's about talking with your community. I don't know if I'm using the right vocabulary here. Pardon my, I'm French, but what I'm trying to convey here is that it has to be a two-way, exchange, and not just a unidirectional thing where you are only the one providing information and that's it.
I love it. Well, listen, my friend, we're out of time. You are just an abundance of knowledge here when it comes to gamification, blockchain, Web3. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, great pleasure being with you today.
Absolutely. Guys, you have to check out darewise.com. Life Beyond is definitely something else. Talk about escapism. Definitely check them out. Darewise.com. And that was Benjamin Charbit, CEO of Darewise, an Animoca Brands subsidiary. That was My Digital World, brought to us by Tempest Network. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. We are featuring our regular contributor, CEO of CCP Digital, Chris Pulley. And today he is joined by his good friend, Sir Lord Travis Wright, co-host of the Bad Crypto podcast and The Nifty Show, both podcasts that explain the latest trends and innovations in Web 3.0. He's also the co-author of Digital Sense and recently was named one of the top 7 Web 3.0 keynote speakers. Today, we are chatting all about NFTs and the main things that you need to know about them. We'll also chat about the future of NFTs in commerce overall and what it means for identity and authentication. Now, if you're already running a successful business, you may be wondering why you'd want to get into the NFT space. The reality is that you ultimately may not have much of a choice. Web3 is on the way, and in many ways, it's already here. NFTs are part of Web 3.0. So let's take a moment to talk about what Web 3 is. With Web 1, the initial phase of the internet, people could read the information online. It was literally called the information superhighway. There was little interaction, some ads, and if you were savvy with a search engine, you could find what you were looking for. But that was about it. The next phase of the internet, Web 2.0, is the phase we're in now. It's much more interactive, and people are also doing more than just reading content. They're creating the content, but they're making more money for the platforms they're creating the content on than for themselves. And that's key. Now, with Web 3, content creators will own and monetize their own content. Essentially, they're moving away from using someone else's platforms to build a presence to owning our presence and their own identity online and taking charge of it. In addition to blazing the trail of Web 3 and the metaverse within the NFT space, businesses and creators can take advantage of the potential of NFTs to build a more loyal community than ever before, because NFTs grant ownership to community members. And those people are much more likely to evangelize and advocate for that business or creator. And here to chat some more is our regular contributor, Chris Pulley, and our expert at hand, Sir Lord Travis Wright. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hey, thanks for having us. Great to be here.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you finally after all of these years.
Nice to meet you too, Travis.
I don't know. Time moves fast in Web3.
It either moves very fast or stands completely still. Travis, so excited to have you on. Let's dive right in. Okay, so let's just say I'm interested in developing an NFT project for my business. What are the top critical elements to really making an NFT launch a success?
Well, I would say this is like, for one, you got to do analysis, see if it's relevant for your audience, right? If you go through and you figure out who your customers are, is this something that's going to resonate with them now? Because sometimes, there's these bright, shiny objects out there, and they're not always necessary that you got to jump in immediately, right? Depending on if you're a plumber, let's say, up in New York, you're doing some plumbing up in there, you probably don't need NFTs, right? But depending on your audience, right? If they're gaming enthusiasts, or if they're maybe a little younger, right? Sort of millennials or Gen Z, then you're going to want to find ways to weave in, some of this stuff for them, because it's interactive, right? They're used to these interactive sort of experiences, and NFTs can provide a lot of that. They can provide loyalty programs that are really cool, because if you have this in your wallet, it can unlock a lot of different things. And I think before we dive into how would you launch an NFT, you got to really sort of understand what an NFT is. So an NFT is really a smart contract. It's a smart computer that you can program to do pretty much anything. They're not just cartoon JPEGs, right? You think about it, you're like, oh, I saw there's an ape and there's these cute cartoon animals. Like, it's more than just that. It can be audio, video, images, text, links, AR, VR, 360. It can be geo proximity based. It can evolve. It can unlock over time. You can just provide really cool experiences. Like, maybe you go to a concert and you're like, hey, if you had this NFT in your wallet, we're going to drop you the set list for tonight. And then if you have this, then you get to come backstage and, do a meet and greet. So it's like, they really are like, if this, then that, right? Sort of a programming sort of code. It's like, you can do cool stuff with it.
Yeah. And it's true, because, I guess this, when designing, art and thinking about the art that's also going to appeal to your target audience, an interesting concept brought to mind is, of course, when people are deciding whether to invest in an NFT project, I always say the art is very important consideration, because even for Sylvester Stallone's Sly Guys NFT project, which Joel, your co-host, is involved with, the art is inspired by the actor's movie roles. In the vast majority of his films, he's an action hero, guns a-blazing. So that's the art. And it's inspired behind what appeals to his fans. So to your point, yeah, that is extremely correlated. I'm going to move on to something else now for Chris that pertains more about branding here, because last year Nike debuted Nike Land on the gaming platform Roblox, where gamers, play either pre-built games or create their own. That's what Roblox is, for those of you that don't know it. They can even dress their own avatars with Nike branded shoes and apparel purchased from Nike Land's virtual shop. My daughter's on Roblox, signaling Nike's move into the metaverse without a doubt. So Nike acquired RTFKT, which is a virtual footwear and fashion company, and they're planning many more virtual product rollouts. This year, the brand filed trademark applications for not only downloadable virtual goods in online realms, but also in relation to the physical spaces of retail stores. Chris, what do you say to this?
Well, it's I almost say typical at this point. We've been saying for the last couple of years, we believe the introduction to the metaverse will be through the advertising budgets of the large corporations, where they can afford to be cool, right? And at this point, a lot of the fun factor is just a cool factor, and being where the kids are going. And this generation, the millennial generation, this Gen Z, is really the sought after generation as they're coming of age, and we're trying to understand how they're using technology and what they want. It just is, it's obvious now that the big brands are going to use alternate realities and experiences to address the technology that's available, and that now the Gen Z kids are coming to expect. They want the cool factor, and Nike seem to have had that cool factor for quite a few decades now, and they're staying on the trend.
Yeah,
and Nike actually purchased Artifact, which is one of the top sort of 3D NFT companies out there. So Artifact was doing some cool stuff. Nike went in and acquired them for millions of dollars, and now they're launching virtual shoes on NFTs, right? And so there's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening. And that's Adidas is doing stuff, Puma is doing stuff. So shoe companies really get it. They're in it. They're diving in, and a lot of other brands are starting to dive in as well.
Absolutely. And this brings me to, let's chat, bring your project to market, so to speak, right? We have about 5.5 minutes left in this segment, but there's the financial aspect of any NFT project. So NFTs can mint for any dollar amount you want. You can give them away for free or sell them for as little as $1, but ultimately one has to decide what the right asking price is to bring their NFT project to market. And one of the easiest ways to mint NFTs is on, for instance, Wax, right? Anyone can go into Wax blockchain and create a Wax cloud wallet for free in less than a minute. And the tutorials are pretty simple and easy to follow, really lowering the barrier to access even more. I mean, you have Ethereum, OpenSea, Mintable, all have tools that really let you upload an image and create your NFT and then set a price. But Travis, this feels extremely amateur. What is the real expert advice here? You're going to end this with a commercial break in about 3.5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I really think it depends on, what your product is, what you're trying to accomplish, because, some people freak out about NFTs because on Ethereum, it uses a lot of energy resources, right? And so, if anytime you need to do a transaction on that, you're having to pay what's called gas fees. Sometimes those gas fees can be so high. It makes it not value. It makes it not, I stepped away from Ethereum NFTs in 2020, 2021, early, because the gas fees were getting so high. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not paying $150, $200 to buy this NFT. Now, hindsight being 2020, I probably shouldn't have been like that because I missed out on the Bored Apes. I missed out on some of the big projects that went crazy. Right. I was like, why am I going to spend 0.02 ETH when at that time when ETH is like $4 or $5 grand? I'm like, that's a lot of money to be spending on this freaking thing. And then little did I know that one Bored Ape was going to go for $250,000 each. I would have paid that $100 in gas fees, hindsight being 2020. But you mentioned Wax. So Wax has done a lot of great projects with companies like Hasbro. Tops really early on launched on Wax. Wax is over 200,000 times more efficient than Ethereum.
Yeah, right.
You can mint 100 NFTs for like $1. Like that's a lot. Like, what I mean? I think at one point it was like 1,000 for like $1. Like,
but I mean, is this the way to go about it?
What's that?
Is this the way to go about it? Like, if somebody's really not that well-versed on this process, are they just going up there and doing it? Or is there a more viable platform out there that exists that consolidates all of these steps and infrastructures so that small businesses or creators can be able to do this in a 1, 2, 3 kind of way? Chris, you can also pipe in on this, but I'd like your thoughts first, Travis.
Well, I think you can. And then so Wax makes it really easy to launch it. It's like you can go on YouTube and watch how to do it, and you can set it up pretty quick and easily. You can easily set it up on OpenSea. But the thing is, if you're launching an NFT on Ethereum, you're still paying the gas fees to set that up the first time. So people pay gas fees when they mint it. They pay gas fees when they buy it, right? But here's the thing. One thing that's really cool about NFTs is the fact that you're getting residual income on those. Every time it gets sold, you get a percentage of that sale coming back to you. So imagine Mickey Mantle, Topps rookie card, 1952, right? There's not very many of them because that whole thing where they dump the extra supply in the Hudson. So those are very rare. Those are selling for $5 million a piece now, those early Mickey Mantle rookies, and Topps makes zero on that. Yeah. Now, if that was an NFT, Topps would make 7, 5, 7, 10% of that. So every time that thing gets sold, every time it gets that sort of commissions built back into that royalty that you get. So digital assets are really cool if you are selling collectibles, if you're selling art, right? Because that thing is sold on the blockchain. It knows it got sold. Well, boom, you just get your kickback because you have that royalty because you're the creator of that particular thing. So there's a lot of value in that. And depending on which place you want to mint your thing, there's like 10 different blockchains you can mint them on now. And we're starting to see some cross blockchain minting coming out. There's this one project called Omni Omniverse, I believe, where you can literally mint it on Solana, Ethereum, Hedera, HBAR. You can mint them on Polygon. Like, it's just like, wow, you can mint them on all of these at the same time and move them around easily. So it's still early. We're still
early stages. Yeah. And I think that as more companies and more research gets poured into the infrastructure of Web3, we're going to start to see a lot more infiltration into the marketplace from companies that are servicing creators and brands, so to speak, in a much more efficient way than what exists out there. But we've run out of time. I wanted to thank you, Chris, for bringing on Sir Lord Travis Wright. It's always a pleasure having both of you on, and I hope you come back and chat with us again.
Thank you. Thank you, Zen.
We'll just have to wait for that invite,
Absolutely. It's already coming. It's already coming. That was our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. Definitely check out Sir Lord Travis Wright at traviswright.com. And to hear more of him, definitely check him out at the Bad Crypto Podcast. And of course, our favorite Chris Pulley, check him out at ccp.digital. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CCP Digital, bringing you a view from inside blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs. Introducing the latest Blockchain Heroes series, Retro Rebellion NFT collectible card packs from the Nifty Company. Available January 2022. Find out more online at ccpdigital.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. We have Chris Pulley and Sir Lord Travis Wright. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you, Zen.
All right, Chris, the true power of NFTs is providing authentication and facilitating the transfer of ownership. All right, that's a fact. And an NFT can authenticate a physical asset like a 200,000 bottle of single malt scotch or a virtual parcel of land on the virtual real estate platform Decentralized, right? It could really be anything. Talk to me about why an NFT would serve as the perfect replacement for paper-based certificates of authenticity.
That's a great question, and it's moving into the more practical side of NFT and not so much the creative and entertainment side. But I've been saying for years, last couple of years, that I believe industries like the title company industry is going to either see their way to managing the technology, or they'll be they'll be a business of the past. Just the chain of title, right? The chain of ownership is a problem that a title company serves, and then also offers insurance against their the title issuance. As properties start to document themselves on NFTs moving forward, you could see there's a direct relationship to an industry that basically manages and ensures chain of title, where NFTs can be able to authenticate that chain of title and eliminating much of that middle resource and investment money, power, everything it takes to run that issuance. So as a direct example, I could probably think of a few others.
Of course, it's much easier if you think of it conceptually to fake paper certificates, and ideally NFTs that have been minted on the blockchain will make the process of faking certificates significantly harder. All this should make you think that it's an absolute no-brainer for luxury brands to adopt NFTs. They're definitely going to make a dent in the authentication problem. And really, an NFT is essentially, for lack of a better analogy, a unique item that lives on the blockchain forevermore. And the blockchain is like a database, except that it isn't controlled by any one person or company. It's decentralized and distributed across millions of computers across the internet. So it does make me feel much safer in terms of authentication and ownership. Travis, let's go back
I would add to that real quick.
Candy, go ahead.
I think that it's not just NFTs that are going to be important on physical authentication, but also NFCs. Right, so that near field communication where you can take your phone and go boop, like you use with Apple Pay. I think the combination, we're starting to see the combination of those with NFT commerce, with NFCs built in, is something that I'm sort of working on as well. I don't know there's a whole lot of that out there yet, but I can see that just the physical interaction with your physical objects in your home to then be able to correlate and connect them into the Web3 space is going to make your Web3 metaverse experience more comfortable to you. It's more customized, right? And so
fascinating.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of that taking that.
Yeah, because and this brings me to the next question I really wanted to ask you. I mean, NFTs really are going to be the fundamental part of the metaverse, right? I mean, of course, there's others, but fundamentally, NFTs are there. And
as users, digital ownership aspect, it's digital asset ownership. And when people go, "Oh, NFTs are just cartoons," I'm like,
right?
It's digital ownership. It's digital asset ownership, provenance, and all that. As Chris mentioned there about the deeds. Digital deeds is basically what it is. And you're listening to this right now, and you're gonna be like, meh, but your kids understand that because they're spending all this money on Roblox.
Oh yeah,
all this money on Minecraft, and they don't own any of those assets. Like so it's like they're not able to sell those for real world money. They may be able to sell them for in-game currency, but not real world money.
Not real world money.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because as users navigate virtual worlds, they're going to be able to pick up items, receive rewards, right? Own things, buy and sell items and services. And just like they can in the real world, right? This is really going to mimic it. But the key difference is that it's going to be traceable and verifiable on the global ledger. Talk to me about how NFTs in the metaverse can improve the value of physical assets in the real world.
Well, that's interesting. I look at it like, how are they connected to real world items? Well, I think the metaverse becomes its own beast, right? It becomes its own sort of world. Like, for example, I got on spatial.io recently and I bought an NFT from Exclusible, and it's a penthouse in Dubai. And so basically that's an NFT and I can walk around inside of it, right? So the NFT itself can be its own little metaverse. Right? Now, inside my NFT, I can place other NFTs on the walls. People can come to my big, huge Dubai penthouse in the metaverse, hang out. We can watch movies. I have a TV room in there. We can watch movies. It's crazy. It's like, wow, this is its own alternate world. Now, NFTs can be used to display things. I think NFTs are going to be really utilized for access into certain exclusive areas into people's metaverse, right? Where they have their tribe, and it's like you come in, you can sort of, access the portal vortex thing. Got to check your Web3 wallet. Do you have this NFT pass? Yes, you do. Now you're in the world, right?
Yeah.
You can't access this unless you have this NFT. So NFTs are really like in Web3 and in the metaverse, sort of like ownership, but also access and exclusive stuff.
I love it. And merging physical with digital, brands are getting phygital, right? With experiences that are now combining the digital with real world products or shopping in physical stores. And some, like you said, are involving NFTs. So for merchants that sell high volumes, those on the Shopify plus e-commerce platform can now join the company's beta launch to sell NFTs online via the Ethereum. I know it's not your favorite and Flow platforms, but Shopify.
Well, I do like Ethereum. I mean, it's a high value there. It's high value dollars. I just don't like the gas fees, but
the gas fees.
If the asset is more valuable, then I'm okay with that. I learned that lesson.
Yeah, that authentication continues to be the main theme here, because every time we're describing even these different scenarios, it's all about authenticating. So when you think about the metaverse creating value for real world, think about the Nike shoe industry, the black market on Nike shoes. They produce Nike shoes that look better and constructed better than real Nike shoes. You can buy for a fraction of the price. Now, if you want
pair of those Air Jordan 4s like that.
There you go. So now, if you don't
even know they're not real Air Jordan 4s,
you don't unless you don't have the NFT that goes with the Nike shoes.
Exactly.
And now
now everybody knows those are fake Air Jordans.
That's correct. And now Nike can authenticate their brand and imagine the just that value creation of proving that when you sell the shoes.
Huge. And Chris, when I read that Shopify was encouraging merchants to experiment with NFTs, which, adds a digital layer to their physical offering, I thought of you right away. I was like, Chris put this in their head, because you have other companies. There's one such participant in Web 3.0. There's a fashion house called Carlton Rain, and the brand launched its animated NFT Genesis collection concurrent with a line of physical sneakers, really ideal for crypto enthusiasts. And that's the only reason why I I know it because I'm on there, and I found out about it through Discord. But it's fascinating. Travis, what's going on? And you've been talking about this stuff before, Web3 was Web3, before it was even a thing.
Well, we were the very first podcast we believe to mention NFTs back in 2017. We've not heard of any other ones, but we weren't calling them NFTs. We were calling them non-fungible tokens, right? And because that's what they were. ERC 721s came out, and that was the new protocol built on top of Ethereum. We've been calling it Web3. I understood blockchain to be Web3 back in 2016, 2017. After I wrote the book Digital Sense, it was like, okay, it was basically, I wrote the book Digital Sense, all about customer experience, marketing technology, social business strategies, and then emerging technologies. And then I sort of just drop the mic. Here's my knowledge in this, drop it. I'm going over here to blockchain because they're creating value out of algorithms and nobody seems to understand marketing over here.
Amazing
right?
stuff.
And so Joel and I moved over to do Bad Crypto, and Chris was mad. He was like, "What are you doing? We're spending time. We're gonna do it." I'm like, "Dude, no. This is what's next. We're gonna figure it out." Ding, ding, ding. Once he got it, and it was just funny because it was like you get all upset about me spending time over here on this.
Chris has nothing for love but you, brother. Nothing for love. Okay, we have about 3 minutes left. Talk to me about how you ended up becoming a Sir Lord.
If you are a landowner in Scotland, you get to become a lord, or technically how they say it, a lard. But I don't want to be a lard. That's what my dad used to call me. I don't want to be a lard anymore. But so for $70, I think you can be a lord too. You get 1 meter of land in Scotland, and boom, you're a lord. It's official.
Wow.
I got a land there. It's 1 meter long, big. So I don't even know.
Sounds like an NFT project waiting to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is definitely an NFT project waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I'll go auction off that parcel.
Right. Why aren't they you're officially a lord? Here's your thing. So, and then one of the listeners in our show is connected to this it's a principality called Sealand. It's off the coast of Ireland. It's like this, I don't even know what it is. It's this big metal structure out in the ocean, and they've declared it to be Sealand. And so they knighted us. So we are knights.
Wow.
So we are knights. I got certificates on the wall. It's super official.
I'm in the presence of greatness.
Sir Lord Travis Wright, which is better than Sir Paul McCartney or Sir Elton John. So
You're right.
Suck it. I am a Sir Lord, which is way more official.
Way more official. All right. And with that, thank you for coming on and bringing a splash of Sir Lord to a moment of Zen.
You think I need to have an accent a bit, though, to be talking like this? It's Sir Lord Travis Wright. He should be talking like this or something, a little more fancy. But he's not so fancy. He's from Kansas City. Not so fancy there.
Do you want to be on Broadway?
There we go.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for coming on, guys. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Zen. Appreciate it.
Definitely check out Sir Lord Travis Wright, Web 3.0 speaker. He's on Twitter at TUBYA, and check him out at traviswright.com. And to hear more of him, check him out at the Bad Crypto Podcast. Make sure you check out Chris Pulley at ccp.digital. That was our Crypto Frontier segment brought to us by CCP Digital. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.
If you've missed out dining in New York City for the past year, it's time to visit the legendary Vice Cucina. Located in the heart of Midtown, Vice specializes in blending delicious Northern Italian and American cuisine with dishes such as the incredible taglione lobster, ravioli masala, ossobuco, and pappardelle al telefono, along with many other mouthwatering offerings. You deserve a great night out. Call Vice Cucina, 212-757-2600, or online at vicecucina.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Hi There, a creative community exploring the culture, craft, and science of cannabis. Hi There believes that we have a collective responsibility towards eradicating the stigma, misinformation, and inequities surrounding this plant so we can unlock its true potential for all. To become involved and find out what all the excitement is about, download the Hi There app from the App Store and Google Play. Hi There, HIGHTHERE.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you can head to 710WOR.iHeart.com KPMedia.tv/a moment of Zen. And remember, we're now on TV. Download the KP Media TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Android, or tune in at watch.kpmedia.tv and catch a moment of Zen on the Impact Live channel Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. All episodes are now available on demand. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that, of course, make it happen. Remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll see you next week.